right. So, hey, it's Doug back with another great episode of We Speak Dispatch. And hey, you know what? This time we've got another special guest for you. Yes, it's true. You don't have to ask for it. We got special guests out there. So, but we have our usual suspects with us. We have Leslie down there. Leslie, how goes life in Southern California?
Everything is beautiful here. We are walking into fall with absolutely no differences to what it looked like in summertime. So I'm watching all of your areas, and I'm so jealous at the cool weather.
I'm not going to lie to you, living in Tennessee now, it is lovely. It's raining like crazy outside, but it's all green and beautiful. So we don't have those kind of issues. And Joe, how goes it up in that neck of the woods up there?
I tell you what, we're excited here. The Iowa Hawkeyes are up to number 5 in college football. We are playing good and pretty excited about the Iowa Hawkeyes. So can't complain. We're off to a great start in the college football season.
And you might as well just say it, Joe. What's with the Philly shirt?
They're close to making the playoffs, and they play tonight on ESPN. So go Phillies.
Go
awesome.
Phillies. All right. And I'm coming to you, obviously, from Middle Tennessee, right outside of Nashville, right here. And it is storming. It's so much better than when I lived in California. So it's so much nicer over here. So, and our special guest today here is kind of a celebrity to me because I've seen her article. It's been shown all over the country. I give it out a lot myself. And so she is one of the original OGs of talking about this crazy thing. So Joy Willis, how are you today?
I'm excellent. Thank you. Up here in Anderson, California.
Is that northern? Where's that? Anderson?
It's in Shasta County.
Oh, okay.
Oh, beautiful.
But it rained for the last couple of days and it's 73.
Wow.
Wow.
Nice.
Now, were you at all impacted by any of the recent fires up there? Because I know Northern California very often
The Zog fire was during our move from our big house. We downsized. And so we were sadly able to give away a lot of furniture to fire victims.
Oh, wow. That's nice. Jeez.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Wow.
At least we had furniture to give away. But yeah, that was our 10th evacuation from wildland fires.
Oh my goodness.
The move.
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding. So no fires in Anderson?
Anderson is a little tiny city. It's very fire safe.
Oh,
good.
And I'm on the committee for my HOA for safety.
Very good. Very good.
You retired out of this stuff. So it's like, so tell us a little bit about your career. Where were you working? What did you do?
Okay.
All that stuff.
I actually started out in communications in college at Pacific Telephone.
Oh, wow.
At that time, in those ancient days, 911 was just beginning. So telephone operators were given 48 hours of emergency call training.
Oh, geez.
We were to, because people called 0. And then we had to transfer them to whatever police department, fire department, ambulance. And so you had all those little lists and you heard a lot of calls. So when I went to 911, I wasn't the least bit surprised at the calls. I was expecting those and it was the same equipment.
Yeah.
So we moved up to Shasta County to give our kids the sort of fun, safe, open environment that we grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area long ago. Kids could just roam. And then I went to work at the Shasta County Sheriff's Office as a rookie 911 dispatcher and was immediately disdained. One dispatcher told me that she wasn't going to bother to learn my name because she could already tell I would never make it as a dispatcher.
Wow.
That sounds familiar.
Doesn't it?
Funny, nothing's ever changed here.
Yeah, I turned out to be her boss.
Oh my God. I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, when they hired me at the Sheriff's Office, because of my previous 11 years with Pac Bell as a quality control trainer and other duties that I did, they told me that they were hiring me because they were going to be trying to consolidate. And I had already done that work. And so that's why they hired me partly. And I was also the second person at the Sheriff's Office that ever took the post test.
Oh my gosh.
So before that, one man was hired before me that was a post. And then before that, they hired people who I don't just, one woman was hired because she's the sheriff's babysitter.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're just sitting there. You are just sitting there.
Exactly. Really. You're just answering phones.
Yeah.
What's the big
What else? Yeah. God. Oh.
So anyway, I was promoted to supervisor after a couple of years, and then Shascom consolidated, and I was promoted from there to be the second manager. I was to be the support services manager and write all the consolidated manuals and train all the dispatchers to all get along together. From all the various.
That worked real well.
Yeah, from Anderson Police and the Sheriff's Office and Reading Police Department.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
and oddly, that we got along a lot better than you would have thought, because as soon as we all were consolidated, we were universally despised by everyone on the other side of the radio.
Oh, misery loves company, doesn't it?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great job.
You know, we got through all that, and the whole dispatch cannibalism, which I had been observing and thinking about and trying to prevent, and I could see it, but I hadn't named it. It was just so annoying to me that people didn't understand.
Yeah.
You whine about not having any days off. You whine about not getting all of your vacation, but you run everybody off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's really stupid, you guys.
Yeah.
So Post had a lot of money, and they had a training managers seminar up in Lake Tahoe. Beautiful resort.
Wow.
And there were 9 representatives of dispatch and 110 representatives of other law enforcement, which is, that's about right.
Yeah.
And the first day, one of the training managers from an unnamed agency remarked that Post sees no correlation between trained dispatchers and officer safety.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Wow. Okay.
So we met Norma Ray,
Yeah.
and we made signs
Yeah.
at lunch. And I was the pro facto leader. I don't know why, but I was the one that stood up and said, I'd like all of you to stand up that really believe that there is no correlation between a trained dispatcher and your safety.
Oh my God.
I'd like to see you.
Did
How
people
many
stand up?
people stood up?
Nobody stood up.
Thank goodness. They were probably just too
Right.
scared. They were thinking it. They were just too scared.
Yeah.
So
They were thinking.
we
it.
were feeling pretty good about that. And then we started discussing what our big goal was, and a class that we should really devise. And we started talking about bullying and retention and recruitment and all of the things, including how rough the officers were on people. Not all officers, but some.
Yeah.
And somebody said something about bullying, and then I think I said, we eat our young. It's cannibalism. And we all went, holy cow.
Damn.
Yep.
Bingo. So
Wow.
that's how we started the class and started thinking about, because it wasn't just, as I said, to point out the problem. It was to figure out how to make this better.
Yeah.
We tried a lot of things, but one of the best things was actually confronting the ringleaders, whether they were in fact the ones that were in power, the supervisors, which were certainly guilty,
Yeah.
or those charismatic leaders that don't have any, they're quote, just a dispatcher, but the eye rolling and I'm not going to learn your name because you don't look like a dispatcher
Yeah.
to me, calling the officers and saying, hey, he's new on the radio, so if you have any trouble, just call me.
Oh my God. It's funny how not a lot of things change. Unfortunately.
And all of that stuff was forbidden.
Yeah.
And people were drug into my office or other offices, sign here, you behave yourself.
Yeah.
One woman, I was so sick of her, I said, look, you be happy or fake it. Every time I walk into the center, I want you to smile.
Yeah.
Every single time. And she stopped being such a sourpuss just out of exhaustion.
Yeah.
Oh God. It's just so funny that, what year was that? Do you remember what year that was?
The dispatch cannibalism
Yeah.
started. Oh
Mhm.
my God. Let's see, 1995. It was around 1998, 99, right around
So
there.
And
well
here
over
we
20
are.
years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here we are still experiencing this.
And here we are still experiencing it because people are afraid to address it.
Mhm. Oh
Right.
yeah. I found that myself where people just, I went to a comm center that had a very terrible retention rate. They couldn't keep anybody.
Mhm.
And when I found out that some of the dispatchers were extremely mean to people, just really
Mhm.
mean,
Yes.
And I asked the manager, what are we doing about it? And she said, well, I think a lot of them are going to retire in a few years. And I'm like, so we're going to wait them out?
Perfect.
I'm
So
like,
you
that's
got
crazy.
Yeah. No, that isn't. And you can, in fact, take a crusty old dispatcher and correct their behavior.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just when you have expectations out there, people know the expectations and they know
Exactly
they're gonna be held
right.
accountable for
You
these
do an
things.
action plan. You hold them accountable. You make them behave.
I asked
Right.
the
Can't
class,
behave.
I taught a pretty big class a couple days ago, and the whole class, they wanted to talk about bullying. It was a big thing. They brought me in to talk about this stuff. And I asked them, how many of you have ever had a conversation with your supervisors about your expectations, about their expectations of what you should be acting like and what your expectations are of them? Not one person raised their hand. And I'm like, this is the problem. They expect you to do this stuff, but they don't tell you,
Right.
we're not going to put up with this kind of crazy behavior.
We want you to
That's
learn
still
all these
going on.
codes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we want you to learn this language,
Yeah.
but we don't press any kind of behavior.
One of the
Right.
things, Doug, at our agency that they started focusing on are words called organizational health. And
Yes.
it just talks about mastering conflict, you know, and committing to the team, being aware of the mission and making sure you're a team player for it. And those type of topics that move the organization forward. And it's been good to bring it to people's awareness, just to tell them what it is and to start that process of slowly moving it forward.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
and it's
yeah.
like so, you know, and a lot of the studies that we've seen are on the sworn side of the house, but you know, we've got officers who are driving cars around and have guns on their hip. And so they're spending hours and hours and hours and hours at evac training or at the range. But most of the officers are getting in trouble because of things like social media and some of those things. Well, and I think that's similar in dispatch. You know, Joy, you mentioned we've got to learn all these codes and learn all these things. So we teach all of the operational stuff, but we don't address, because I guarantee you, every single person listening to this podcast right now or watching it on YouTube is thinking about somebody in their head going, oh, yeah, they're my problem. And we don't train employees from day one on how to address conflict, how to get along with people, how to combat some of this stuff. And the thing that when you were speaking that struck me was, we can solve this. There's a solution for it, because and so I'd really like to explore, okay, what is the solution? Doug talks about expectations, and then Joe's got organizational health. I know when I'm teaching, a lot of the things that, you know, I will say, okay, what's your mission statement? What's your core values? And nobody knows. And I said, well, do you know that you have a mission statement? Yes. Okay, well, your homework is to go. But if we start there and all of these other things we're talking about, we have a foundation to stand on to say, hey, what you're doing is not acceptable. But so much
a real
of it
example, not that, words are, a mission statement is fabulous, and maybe they write their own. I've had them all do that, rewrite the mission statement.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
But a true life example, and I was teaching a class on a different subject, but the bullying came up. And I said, you know, I was lucky enough that my very first trainer down at the sheriff's office down in the basement was actually kind to me. And she trusted me enough. We didn't have breaks. And so she had to run down the hall. And I was only there 3 days, middle of the night. And she says, look, if anybody says anything, just push this button and say, stand by. Said, okay. So somebody said something, but I'd been watching. And so I stamped the card and wrote down what he said. And I said 10-4 and repeated it. And she came running back in, drying her hands, and she said, oh my God, did you talk on the radio? And I said, yeah, but and she said, oh my God, you did great. I'm so proud of you. And I was a grown woman. I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
Right.
But that meant the world to me. And that woman was in my class that I was teaching.
I love that
and
stuff.
Stood up and she said, that was me. I did that for you. And I said, yeah. And
That's
you all can do that for somebody and make that kind of an impact.
Yeah.
I'm always telling people in our class that the power of appreciation. Do you ever tell the person that trained you, thank you? Do you ever tell the person who hired you, thank you? I mean, Sandy, who trained me, did such a great job. She was a wonderful trainer. She's on my Facebook. She is the one that kind of set me on this tone of doing all this stuff. And it's like, I mean, I remember I'm feeling like, my God, she did such a great job with that. But I'm always telling people, have you ever thanked anybody that's trained you, that spent the time and effort to do that? So
Yeah.
People want to solve the problem. I think
do.
it's they just
They
don't
do.
know how, because it's not, my mantra, if you permit it, you promote it. And so they
Mhm.
watch this behavior happening and nobody's intervening. And so they start to internalize thinking, well, maybe this is what we do here.
Yeah.
And I think, to Joe's organizational health, calling it out from the very beginning and say, no,
Yes.
this is what we stand for.
Yes.
And when you have these issues, we're going to give you the tools necessary to
Mhm.
to overcome it. But it just frustrates me, and I think everybody on here as well, that we have so many communications centers and communications officers or whatever that use the job as a justification
Yes.
for bad behavior.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I worked X amount of overtime, or I
Mhm.
had this, or I had, and it
I went through that, so you should too.
Yeah.
exactly.
Crazy.
Mhm.
Crazy.
And I,
Amazing.
if we give people the tools necessary, they can solve a problem in 10 seconds over the phone that has taken decades to develop.
Yeah.
But if you ask somebody to talk to their peer about a conflict they're having, they're like,
Oh
nah,
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
want to. And it's because we haven't
That's
trained them how to do
unfortunate.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't
We
think
just
they
haven't given them
train.
the training.
They don't train supervisors on how to handle these kind of things. I mean, I've been to supervisor training, and I'm like, they're talking about like paper shuffling, not like
Mhm.
people managing. It's like, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. So, I mean, I know we're always, the classes we're all teaching, we're trying to put that message out there that there is a solvable problem here, but everybody has to be involved in it. Not just
No.
dispatch, management, supervisors, everybody's got to be involved.
I took a class years ago called assertive supervision, which my boss said he didn't really think I needed. But
Wow.
it turned out to be, it wasn't about assertive supervision, it was about precision supervision.
Yeah.
Don't say, yeah, they move slow. Say, you know what? When you walk into the center, I really do want you to have your head up, your headset on, and ready to go to work. When you walk in, dragging your feet and hanging your head, it promotes a sadness, a sad attitude to the whole thing, but it also makes you bummed.
Yeah.
Stride out.
Gosh.
Be precise when you're talking to people, exactly what you want them to do. Not be nicer.
Yeah.
Right.
What does that mean? I mean, that's the thing. What does that mean? It doesn't mean
what does that mean?
thing.
I am nice.
Yeah.
I said, please get off my radio.
It's like when somebody keeps telling you, I am a nice person. Well, if you're really nice, you wouldn't have to keep telling us. But
exactly. Yeah. Or honestly. Well, to be honest.
Yeah. It's like, as opposed to lying to me.
I made a tape of a radio broadcast years ago that it's very short. It's an officer who it was his last transmission when he was retiring. And I wondered if you guys would like to hear it, because it kind of talks, it's kind of like, oh, that's why we're here.
Oh, yeah.
And I wondered if you'd be interested in hearing it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's pretty neat.
158. 158. After 27 years in the alleys of gangdom and the courts of justice, having done all that I can to protect the innocent and prosecute the guilty, this unit now stands 10-10 forever. May God bless those of you who stay and continue the fight. Copy 158.
Wow.
What did he say exactly? I kind of couldn't hear.
He said, in 30 years of fighting in the halls of justice and the streets
of gangs,
this unit, and the streets of gangdom, this unit stands 10-10 forever. May God be with you who stay and fight.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, it is something definitely that we just need to kind of address these issues. It should not still be happening, for God's sakes. I mean,
you're absolutely right.
No,
so crazy.
we should, if we were to do this right and really PR this job and really celebrate the phenomenal jobs that we all do, then there should be lines of people around our buildings wanting to be a part of this team.
Because it's a fabulous job.
It is amazing. It's
Yes.
amazing.
It's amazing. Every single one of them has stories to tell.
Yes.
Where we personally saved a life, personally saved an officer, personally saved with a phone and maybe some data. I mean, my middle son lived across the street from a retired officer. And when he said, oh, what's your name? And he said, oh, that's your mom? He said, she saved my life for real.
That's so cool.
Oh,
That's so
wow.
cool. I mean, there's
And,
people walking around because of what dispatchers do. And it's like, they don't even think
Yeah.
about the fact there's people still alive today, having families, doing great things because of them. And they just forget that.
Exactly, because of all of us, because we have stood and fought.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? We can definitely, we got to have you back, Joy, because it's just,
Yeah.
I want to hear more
That's-
about the solution side of this thing and how we correct these
I
problems.
have proof that it works.
Well,
so
there we
can
go.
talk
We're going to
again.
definitely have you back to talk about this on our next
Okay.
episode, because to me, it's just like, I guarantee this topic's going to be so relevant to everybody out there.
This was awesome.
really
I ran for political office after I retired, and I was on a local water district for about 4 years.
Yeah.
And now I'm down here just almost doing practically nothing.
Well, now you
We
now you
can't-
can
we
jump
can't
on-
have that. Yeah. We've got a consultant. We've got a
That's
cannibalism consultant.
That's
Oh,
right.
it's so nice to see your faces, you guys.
Yes, you
I
too.
miss your great faces. I really do.
It's such a great honor to have you on there. And Joe, how many countries are we heard in right now?
We just hit our 25th country, as Poland took a listen to us, and we're up to about almost just under 9,000 plays on the podcast platform. So keep listening. 25 country and just under 9,000 plays.
That is
Wow.
awesome.
Isn't that amazing?
That's
So
good. Good
cool.
stuff out there. Joy, we
Reaching
definitely
people.
appreciate it.
I got
We're going to have
goosebumps.
your article available for download. If anybody wants to get a
Yeah.
copy of that, it's out there for us.
And it's got the graphic and everything with the upside down triangle, right?
I think it does. I have to look at it again.
Yeah.
Joe, we just sent it to you. Did it have that on there?
I think on maybe one of the pages, but I read it a few
Yeah.
hours ago. So it talked about the upside down triangle, which I definitely read the whole thing, but I don't know if I saw the
Because
picture.
it's the manager's job to support you.
Yeah.
It's not
Right.
your job to make the manager look good.
Awesome.
So shut up.
Well, we will
What do you mean
definitely, we will definitely have you back, Joy. Don't sweat it, but we got you back. We
No
totally
worries.
appreciate everybody jumping in today. Have a great day out there, everybody. Make sure you listen to
you.
us. If you want to be in Joy's position and be in that box right there and be a guest of ours, please let us know, and we'll definitely put you in for
Go
this.
Niners, go Warriors.
Thank you very much,
Dodgers.
everybody.
Saying.
Have a great rest of the day, everybody.
Hi, this is Courtney, and you've been listening to another great episode of We Speak Dispatch, proudly sponsored by our friends at Zybex.
911 emergency. What are you reporting?